It's Sunday maintenance day, and lately I've been doing a lot more riding than I have motorcycle wrenching. I've been working a lot of hours, and when I got free time, I've just been enjoying it. Cause, well, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But it's time to do some stuff. And before we even fired up the camera, we took care of the important shit, cleaned up all the trash out of the garage area, and it's still kind of a mess in here because, well, I have no room. We've organized our tools. First thing we're going to do is maintenance the Harley. Going to do an oil change, check every nut and bolt on the bike, inspect the air filter, and inspect the spark plugs. I got pretty much all the tools I need laid out except for spark plug wrench, which I keep one in the bike. When that's finished, we will wipe that out, and we're going to bring in the gold wing. We're going to inspect the rear wheel brakes and the wheel bearings. The funny noise out there, I don't know what it is. It could be just a brake shoe rubbing, because the springs that separate them are a little bit weak. So something as simple as that, something as bad as wheel bearings. I actually have wheel bearings and a spare rear rim. Check all the fluids because we haven't done it in 2,000 miles. Check the tire pressure. The gold wing, because it's a gold wing, I'm really behind on maintenance. I haven't looked at a thing in the last 2,000 miles. I just fire it up and go because, it's a gold wing. The Harley, I haven't owned long enough. I've only put in probably 400 miles on it. So it's time for a good shakedown and inspect everything. Now I know the oil is definitely clean. Not exactly sure how many miles the fella said. I know he only put 3,000 miles on the bike, and he said he did have an oil change done. So even if you had it changed and then put 3,000, you're still good for a little bit. But we're going to do it so we know when it was done and what kind of oil was used. And yeah, that's what's up. So I'm going to cut this now because even though in my spare parts pile I do have a brand new Harley Davidson chrome oil filter for an Evolution engine, I do not have the proper grade 2050 oil. I have some cheap stuff. Don't want to do that. We want to use, I think I want to use Valvoline. It's a roller cam and roller lifters, so it's not flat tapping. You don't have to worry about high zinc content or anything, but I do want to run some good oil in it. So I'm going to go pick up some oil, and then I'll check back in with y'all, and we'll get to doing all this stuff. I'll show you what's up as we're going. Alright, so we're back, and I got everything in order. Now, there's two different types of lifter systems for a push rod engine. You got your flat tappet, and that's where your cam is kind of egg-shaped. The bottom of the lifter is just flat, right? This comes around, rides on it, and it's basically metal on metal. Nothing here but a flat piece and an egg-shaped piece that lifts this up and down. That's a flat tappet. This here is a roller lifter. The roller lifter has a wheel built into the lifter, and the cam lobe is actually an oval shape. Makes constant contact, and a ball bearing wheel rolls on top of that. This particular Harley Davidson engine has a roller lifter system. Now, my old Yamaha right here, if you go back to my other videos, it actually has a flat tappet. So there's different kinds of oils for each. This is an older design. You use an oil that has like a lot of zinc in it because it'll give you a little bit of cushion in between there. You really don't need that on this. You can use a synthetic, but that zinc does a lot of other good things, and it just works well with push rod engines. So what we went and did is got some Valvoline VR1 racing and classic cars. This is designed for flat tappet. It's not going to hurt a thing on the roller lifters. It won't hurt. It's only going to do good. Now, in the summer, you use 2050 all year in a Harley. In the summer, when it's hot out, you're going to want to use like straight 50 or straight 60 weight. You could kind of cheat that a little bit because straight 60 is pretty heavy stuff, man. It's like molasses. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 3 quarts of VR1. It takes about 3.5 quarts of oil to fill the engine. So we're going to use about a half a quart of this Lucas oil stabilizer. And as far as snake oils for engines, all this shit really does is thicken your oil up. I mean, we've all turned the crank on the thing at the auto parts, so this basically just makes oil thicker. That's all it's going to do. So I'm kind of splitting the hair here. Instead of using straight 60 or straight 50, I'm going to use the 2050 that the bike calls for, and I'm going to thicken that up a little bit with the Lucas. Once again, it won't hurt, it's only going to help, and 100% petroleum. This is dyno juice too. It is what it is. Modern engines call for synthetic. Well, they've run synthetic their entire life. Keep running synthetic. This is not a modern engine. This is an engine that was designed and built in 1984 for the first time. This is in 1995. And we're going to use dyno juice in it. Sorry, not sorry. My bike is what I do. Alright, so let me get some stuff in order here, and we'll show you what's going on as far as how to drain the oil. And as I said, I have a brand new Harley Davidson original engine manufacturer oil filter for this engine. It's for a different bike, but they all take the same filter, and this one just happens to be chrome because it looks cool. Here's what it is. We got our filter wrench out, selection of tools out and ready to go. So let me go get a tarp down on the floor to catch any of the mess and get an oil pan, and I'll show you where the oil drain is. Alright, now on a Harley Davidson you have 3 separate oils. You got oil just for the engine, you got oil for the transmission and the primary drive. The chain that connects the engine to the clutch that rides in here, you got oil in here. I've already checked all of them. They're all good. Don't know any engine oil was checked or changed last, so we're going to change it. On a Dyna series Harley Davidson, check the oil under this cap right here, and as you can see, it's filthy black. So I mean, it feels good, don't smell or taste like gasoline or anything funky, but we're going to change it. Check the transmission fluid by pulling this hex key out, and there's a plug in here. And the primary, you know, that's a mystery all on its own. You got to open a window and look down inside it. So your drain pan is down on the bottom. Oh, let's show you that. Good work. Alright. My old fat ass down on the floor. Alright. Underneath the bike, this would be the drain pan for the transmission. This is the drain plug for the transmission, the closest to you. This is the drain plug for the oil. As you can see, being on this far corner, it's kind of set up so that you drain the oil with the bike on its kickstand. It's the lowest point. So let's go ahead and let the oil out of this bugger and see what she looks like. One more thing I should have mentioned. We all reuse our drain pans, right? Before you do this, you want to take a, an old rag or something and just wipe this out. Make it as clean as you can get it with a rag, within reason. Reasoning for that is any kind of metal chunks or anything like that that may come out of this engine. You're going to be able to see them, and the pan's clean, so you know anything in the pan definitely came from the engine. It's going to fight me. Alright, I got to use a wrench, and I can't hold the camera and use a wrench at the same time, so check with you in a second. There's your oil plug. It's going to be magnetic. They all are. As you can see, there's no schmutz on it, just oil. And that's what I like to see. Good deal. And as you can see, that oil's draining out of there just fine. And I promise you, this engine is 100% stone cold. So you can do it however you want to do it. I prefer to drain engine oil while the engine's cold. As I said, all your engine oil is laying in your sump, not all throughout the engine. So I feel like you get a better drain and you get a better idea of what's actually laying in the pan, at least on the first oil change anyway. So yeah, let's get that drained. It's going to take a while because it's cold, so basically just sit here until she quits dripping. Catch you in a few. Oh yeah, you got to wipe this off, clean it real well before you put it back together. And there's a little O-ring on there, you'll see. Make sure you don't lose that. Make sure that's on there, otherwise you're going to have a mess. Okay, this is what's important about cleaning out your oil pan. We drained the motorcycle oil into this pan, and then I drained it into my big pan over there that I take to go get quote, recycled. I actually give it to my buddy who has an oil burning furnace, and that's how he heats his garage in the winter. Now that the pan's drained, it's clean, We get it on an angle directly under a bright ass light. Gotta run your finger through it. I'm looking for shiny bits, metal bits. I see nothing. I see dirt. And the camera doesn't pick it up as well as the eye, but it's a good way to get an idea of the status of your engine. So, anyways, drain plugs put back in. Let's install fresh oil. After we do the oil filter, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, the old oil filter. New oil filter. So here's what we're going to do. There's 20 different ways of doing this. I got a universal strap wrench, and it is kind of self-explanatory how it works. It goes on there like that, grips it, and that would be tightening, that would be loosening. So you basically fit it over the filter like such, take it off. If you can't figure out how to use this, please don't work on your motorcycle. So let me pull the old filter off and we'll inspect it. Catch you in a second. So as so often in life, things didn't go as planned. That shiny chrome surface, my strap wrench will not grab it. It's not going to happen. I had to run out and grab one of these. Pretty self-explanatory, right? How that works. Do not over-tighten your oil filter, please. Snug. That's it. Make sure you wipe a little oil around the rubber seal on the bottom of the filter and fill it about halfway with some fresh oil. So now we're on to adding the oil to the bike. Alright. Some of y'all may find this satisfying, I don't know. I think that's a thing. I don't do ASMR videos. I like to bullshit to y'all while I'm doing the thing. So we're going to add the fresh oil. Important. Oil filter. It's been laying around your garage. Probably got bugs in it, dirt. Clean the goddamn thing out. Take a rag and clean it out. Look down in it. No dirt. No dirt. Dirt bad. Engine don't like no dirt. Get the stick weight down and out the way. And let's put some fresh dyno juice in this engine. Dyno juice in the dyno, huh? Alrighty then. Tunnel. And like I said, we're going with VR1, even though this engine does not have flat taps, it has roller lifters. We're still going to use VR1. It's just good stuff. Good enough for a race engine, it's good enough for a built Harley Davidson engine. So, we're in the hole, quart number 1. Now, I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. See how the bottle's shaped like this? You pour it like this, you make a mess. You pour it like this, the oil lays in this little sump before it starts to splash out, and you can get it much easier. I shouldn't have to tell you that, but I feel like I do. This is kind of the way to go. It makes life easier. Down. Second quart of VR1. You get about halfway through this bottle, maybe a little more, something like that. What we're going to do is pop open this stuff here. I explained earlier in the video. This is basically just an oil thickener. They call it stabilizer. You can call it what you want. There's a fella that did a real good video on a lot of oil additives. And basically he explains and sends them out to the lab to find their molecular structures and all that. Tells you what's in them. Man, if I can find a link to that video, or if I can find it again, I will, I'll try to include it in here, because it's some really interesting stuff. But essentially, this shit right here, amongst all of them, was nothing more than super thick oil. And that's basically what its job is. And as I explained, rather than run straight 60 weight in this engine, which will be a little hard on the engine on startup, and a little hard if the temperature drops a little. We are going to use a little of this mixed with the 2050. We got half a quart. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add this in to this half quart of oil. And fill it up to the top. Not quite to the top. We want to leave a little air gap in the bottle, and I'll explain why in just a second. Now, as you can see, this stuff here is like honey. It's very thick. It's got all the juices and minerals and dino stuff in it. A little more. I don't know if you can see down inside the oil bottle, but I can from here. That'll do her. That'll do her about right about where I want it. I'll replace the cap. Shake the shit out of it. All this is going to do is just make that shit easier to pour into the engine. It'll blend in with the oil. It'll make it a little thinner, make the oil a little thicker. And you won't have to sit there for an hour pouring that down your funnel's throat, because, as you've seen, it's some very thick stuff. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in there. As you can see, the oil come out is thicker, but it's not honey consistency. It's even taking a second for the funnel to choke it down. So you can imagine if we had poured that Lucas in there straight. Basically, we've had a string of some really, really hot weather here, so I want to protect my engine. It's an air-cooled engine, they get hot. And rather than worry about my engine oil breaking down, even though I am using essentially what a drag racer would use, you know, VR1 2050. This is what you would put in like a performance V8 drag racing engine with flat tappet cams. I'm still putting a little of that thicker. Now we know we got 2.5 quarts in. I believe this calls for 3.5 quarts. What we're going to do, we'll pop open another quart of VR1. We'll do about half of it, and then we're going to check the oil. Just see where we're at. Dipstick here. Make sure it's nice and clean because it was on the bench. I don't know if you'll see this, but there's 2 settings. Cold, hot. Add a quart. And we want to see it to the top of this little triangle right here. This is for the cold. That's where we want to see it. If it's a twinge below it, that's okay because this motorcycle is on its side stand. Pull my funnel out here now that that's clean. Place it somewhere where it's not going to make too much of a mess. And let's see where we're at. Fresh oil is always hard to see on here. It's full, it's all laying in there. Alright, what we're going to do now, we know we got oil in it. We put oil in there, we're going to fire the engine up. Just for a second, confirm we got oil pressure. And we'll let it settle. And we'll go ahead and we'll check our oil. So, we're stone cold, obviously. Check it up. On. Ignition. and it definitely made oil pressure, as the oil pressure light went out as soon as I turned the key. And trust me, if this engine had no oil pressure, you'd know it. She'd sound like a marching band. Ask me how I know. Not this engine, but other ones in the past. Doing this for a long time. Let's see where we're at. Pull that out. Clean her real nice. Stick it back in. And there's the full cold mark. And technically this engine's still cold, so we're good. Oil change has been completed. On to the next thing. And I guess I'll add this in. Transmission oil. I'll show you how to check that, just so you know. Hex key. Stick her in here. You do kind of want to check this with the engine hot, but just so you know, maybe you just bought one of these bikes and you don't have a manual yet. Pull off the cab, show you how to do this. Take your plug loose, get you a rag, and right here is your dipstick. Set her down in there, spread her in, and as you can see, full add, but you need to have the transmission warm to check this, being as the engine's cold. And the bike is on its side stand, it's not going to register oil in it. But I'll show you something. We'll lean her up straight like this. I'll go ahead and pull this back out. And you will see if there's oil, and if there's not, we're going to add some. But, yeah, see, she's up to the full mark. Obviously, dude, when she is on her side stand, that engine is not level. Now, knowing that you are supposed to check this hot, knowing that oil is going to expand, this transmission is actually just a tick over full. And then I done found that out the hard way. Because when I first got it, when I was adjusting the carburetor, had her on the side stand, she was puking oil out the transmission shaft seal. I go, what the hell? And sure as shit, it was a good bit over full. So we had to drain a little bit out. And it's still just a tick over full, because that's going to swell up as it gets hot. So, anyways, that's your oil change. That's where you check your transmission. Your primary, well, I got to pull that apart to take the derby cover off to show you. Well, we're just not doing that job today, because we've already done it. That'll be in a later video down the road. Thanks for watching. Kevin6154, Phoenix Motorsports. Alright, I'm out.